When you take away the stethoscope and the tongue depressors, a medical office is a business. It's an establishment that exchanges money for services. Unlike any other business, customer service can make the difference between its success and failure. This is where the employees of the medical office enter the picture, because in the area of customer service, these employees are front and center. For this reason, employee morale is important, and bickering over schedule can make the work environment unpleasant, and that unpleasantness can bleed over into the employees dealing with the patients. The work schedule for the medical office employees presents major obstacles. The reality is there are too many hours to work and not enough people to staff those hours. The results are overworked employees and a lot of payment in overtime. Like most doctors' offices, this office sees patients during regular business hours by appointment. But because patients sometimes need medical care outside of business hours, this office also has an urgent care. The urgent care is staffed from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, 9 to 2 on Saturday, and 1 to 5 on Sunday. To cover all these hours among 7 employees of the regular office and 2 employees who work urgent care, an employee has to work every weekend. This means one employee will have a 12-day stretch of work. In addition, the person who is scheduled to work weekends has to work that 12-day stretch, and on their last day, they work 12 hours. In addition, one employee in the regular office has to stay over an hour each night to check patients out who are leaving for their late appointments. This means a 9-hour day. With all these hours to work, it's easy to see why one might become a little overwhelmed. But to make matters worse, there's no rhyme or reason to the determination of who stays for that last hour. There's a sign-up sheet, and it's a first-come, first-served basis. Some people get their pick of the days that they want to work late, and the others get whatever's left over. Some employees don't sign up at all, which makes it unfair for those who have to do it all the time. This might seem like a necessary inconvenience, but I believe it's possible to accomplish the exact same staffing with less work among the existing employees. With all the extra staffing and no extra help, it becomes necessary for the office to pay their employees overtime to cover all the hours that are needed. This cost adds up if you do the math. Consider this. If 7 employees in the regular office work 8 hours each day, that adds up to a total of 56 hours every day, which adds up to a total of 280 hours for the work week. But when you add an extra hour each day for the employee who has to stay late, that adds up to 57 hours a day for 5 days. Then when you add the extra 3 hours that a staff member stays on Friday to cover urgent care, and the 5 hours on Saturday, and the 4 on Sunday, that then totals to 297 hours per week. Combined, this represents 17 hours per week in overtime being paid. Now, if you consider that an employee gets paid around $15 an hour, and when they work overtime, they get paid time and a half, that adds up to about $22.50 an hour in overtime pay. If you pay someone $22.50 for 17 hours in a week, that adds up to $382.50 every week. If you stretch that out to a year, that's around $19,125 of overtime paid. And that doesn't even consider some who are paid a higher rate, like $18 an hour. That may not be a lot of money for a necessary service, but I believe we could provide the exact same service for less money. These problems may not be glaring, but the solutions are relatively simple and cost-effective. The first thing that needs to be addressed is the bickering over the late-night schedule. The simplest and fairest way to do this is by assigning late nights on a rotating basis. This will put an end to the first-come, first-served basis, and it will include everyone in the rotation to be fair to all. The second thing is to address the extra work hour at the end of every day. Instead of someone having to stay over, allow one person per day to come in, say 9 o'clock, and stay an hour later. That would ensure that there is coverage throughout the entire day, but not create the overtime. By the same token, the staff person who has to cover urgent care on Friday could come in at 11 and work until 8. That way they wouldn't be working a 12-hour day, and no overtime would have to be paid. Obviously, this staggered schedule would leave a few gaps in the schedule. In this situation, the problem isn't lack of staff, but lack of staff who are trained to do particular jobs. There is one person who does nothing but pre-certification for insurance. There is another person who does the pre-certification, but she also checks people in and out and is in the rotation for urgent care. This limits the flexibility needs of the office. By cross-training staff members, any staff could fill in for another staff. This would make providing services to the patients a seamless process. This takes care of all the overtime and staff members who work during the week, but it does nothing to cut down on the overtime incurred over the weekends. For this, I would propose hiring 2 part-time staff members. This would allow the part-time employees to alternate weekends to cover urgent care. The biggest expense in this would be the period of the part-time help being trained. These part-time employees could be paid $13 an hour. At this rate, it would cost the medical office practice $117 a week, or $5,850 a year. This reflects a saving of $265.50 a week, or $13,275 a year. This is a significant way to save money, and the effects would be immediate. But one of the greatest benefits to this solution is a boost in the employee morale. No longer would there be bickering among employees over late nights. Employees could spend less time at work and more time with their families. And the improved morale as a result would have a residual effect in customer service, which would only serve the health of the business and the patient care.